Spectrum of Us podcast.
Chaos and comedy, where we explore life on the spectrum.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Jennifer.
In each episode, we dive deep into life surrounding neurodivergence, exploring the complex and often comical dynamics between society, family, education, and more.
Through building understanding, we hope to build a community. So like and subscribe for more chaos and comedy as we explore life behind the scenes of neurodiversity. Talk about teenagers. Let's talk about adolescents.
We were going to talk about your experience with dealing with the neurodivergent child who is in the throes of puberty. Go ahead.
Let's start with prepubescent.
Yes.
Yeah. Tweens. The
tweens.
Yeah. So, you're in the tweens with these kids when the stuff that was working so well when they were younger stops working randomly. But then sometimes it works, but then sometimes it doesn't work. And sometimes it works.
Raised some children who I, at the time, thought were
typical,
neurotypical. Not so sure now. But raising neurotypical children and having experienced pubescent. I'm saying that correctly?
Why don't you not say that? Pubescent.
Prepubescent.
There you go.
Yeah, see? And say that. Prepubescent children. You go, oh, okay. And I've seen that where you have this, 9, 10, 11-year-old that you think is so cool. You're a little person and you think you got it down. And then they go into
so 3rd, 4th grade is like we're just trucking.
I'm like,
great.
They're making you Father's Day gifts, drawing your pictures, still wanting to go in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
And you like,
and you hit 5th grade sometime between 5th and 6th grade. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get lucky and it's all the way till 7th. Sometimes you're really unlucky and it's already in 4th.
Yeah.
But typically, and this is one of the places, it don't matter if you're neurotypical or you're not.
Yeah.
This is the same. Sometime between 5th and 6th grade, within reason, it all goes south. And it just gets messier.
Yeah. I remember having like boxes of like stuff
they brought home.
My kids, from their awards and, good citizenship.
Father's Day stuff, Mother's Day stuff.
That when my kid used to introduce me to their friends.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, this is my dad. And I would be smiling. Yes, I am. I'm the father. Yes, me. And then puberty.
You literally took way too much enjoyment credit for.
Listen, I freely admit,
clearly your kids were not pissing off the neighborhood like mine were, because I was like, whose mom? Thomas's mom? Who's asking?
And I was like, I rejoiced in it, and in their successes and when they were doing stuff well, and I was like, look what I did, right? And then there was the change began.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting.
And for the girls, it happens younger than the boys typically. So you get longer with your sweet boys. I got longer with my sweet boys than than when the hell came down with the girl. And to be fair, my girl was easy. Like there was, I would feel bad, when I would get mad at her for something where she would not act right, because I was like, what does this happen like once every 6 months with her? Like, and I'm getting on her, and it's like this like battle of like, should I just let it go? Because, and then I was like, oh, hell no. Because then she's going to think she can act like this. So no, but then I'd feel super guilty because she was always not a problem. And the others were always a problem.
Yeah. So, and that's what,
but there's still just that universal sweetness.
Yeah.
That then, the misfires start happening. But to be fair, I think what some people don't realize biologically, physiologically, what happens to a human being in adolescence, there's only one time in your entire life that your brain grows faster than it does during adolescence, and that is toddler. Mm. And when you put it in that perspective, you realize that toddlers, right, are little menaces to society. They're the cutest little menaces ever, right? They say crazy stuff. They throw the tantrums. It's all over.
No, you look at all the memes. All the memes.
Stephanie's called us crying because,
Oh, I never.
Because,
Clem
baby girl's mean, and I don't blame her, I'm sure it just broke her, because they are like these little tiny, like, menaces. And it's because their brain is growing so fast. You just can't barely keep up with it. And the only time that's the only time in your life that it grows faster than it does any other time. And the second most fast time is during adolescence. So your body is growing fast. Your skin is revolting on you. It's doing whatever it wants. And, you're having changes physically to your body. All of those things would be enough to send a person over the edge. Mm-hmm. But then on top of it, your brain is growing at such a fast rate of speed that you don't even know your own name some days.
Yes.
And then we put neurodivergence on top of that.
I was getting ready to say, and you sprinkle a little bit of PDA
Special.
And ADHD and ADD
and
autism. Just sprinkle that on.
Sprinkle a little.
They're already going through this. Their body is going through this incredible chemical change.
And let's talk about some real situations with these kids that typical kids don't experience. A lot of these kids are not in tune with, I'm not going to give you all the scientific names because I'm going to put this in lay people terms. Mm-hmm. A lot of these kids are not in tune with how their body feels. So if I'm having period cramps, we can explain that to a neurotypical kid and explain to them what those feelings are and why that doesn't feel good and what's going on. And they can identify, initially they can identify for you what's going on. So they'll be like, my stomach hurts. But then you're like, okay, you're 10, 11, 12. You're saying your stomach hurts, but where exactly does it hurt? Oh, it hurts down here or kind of feel sick. But we can get them to identify at a pretty specific level so that we can problem solve what's really going on. So I'll put it simple like this. This is the difference. In a typical kid, they say, Mom, I got a sore throat. I don't feel good. And you go, oh, does it hurt when you swallow like a lump in your throat or is it scratchy? And they can tell you, oh, it's a lump in my throat. Oh, it's so scratchy, right? As opposed to the neurodivergent child who comes in and goes, my neck is breaking. Yeah. Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? What happened? Did you fall? I don't know. My neck hurts. My neck hurts. And you're like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? What did you fall? And you can sit there for a very long period of time thinking something actually happened to the mechanism of their neck. They have a sore throat. They have a cold. But they can't identify it.
They don't process things the same way. They don't communicate the same way. So my neck is hurting.
I mean, it's in the general vicinity, right? Mm-hmm. And this is technically your neck.
Yeah.
It's just, we know throat is inside there, and it's inside, and it's because we're sick. And you know what I mean? And like, generalizing is not a thing that it comes naturally to them. So, you know, even if they've had that feeling before, it can be hard for them to generalize because it's a little bit different this time, because every cold feels a little bit different, right? And so you have these problems. I mean, we have a kiddo who every time he has a cold tells us his allergies. And I'm like,
he's like, oh, I got allergies.
I'm like, buddy, allergies sound significantly different than what's going on right there. Okay. You are hacking up a lung. You've got like the sick thing going on. This is not allergies. Oh yeah, it's just allergies. No, it's not. But that's how like out of touch he is with how his body feels. And I used to say about my ex-husband, like, dude never gets sick. Actually, I think he probably did, but he was never in touch with how that felt. And he said the same thing. He was always like, yeah, these damn allergies. Yeah, these damn allergies. And I'd be like, you sure you don't have a cold? He's like, oh, no, I know the difference. No, I don't think you do. Because nobody is never sick. Nobody is never sick. And especially when you have 5 kids, like we were sick all the time. There was stuff going through the family all the time. But he was never in touch. And then I had, you know, Bubba, who... that poor kid, it took me forever. I didn't know that back then that they can't identify very well. And we didn't even know that he had half the stuff that we know he has now. So we just thought he was ADHD and he was a pain in the ass. That's what we thought. And he would complain all the time about a stomach ache. He would complain about his back hurt. You know, and it got to the point where it was just like, yeah, whatever, buddy. It's always, you know, every day. Now I know stomach ache is I have anxiety and I am freaking out about trying to go to school today. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm going to throw up from the anxiety. I'm having a panic attack. My back hurts because I am sore from practice yesterday.
Yeah.
But he would literally think that he had broke his back. I mean, he would be crying like a kid who had broke his back. I can't tell you how many times I took that kid to the emergency room thinking that there was something broken on him because his level of hysteria over a pain that was nothing did not match. You know, because like when your reaction doesn't match the crisis, then it's very hard for people to know what's really going on. So to be a teenager on top of all that.
Yeah.
You know, and the more impacted they are, especially going through puberty, you know, we would have kiddos in school where, you know, and I still have to remind my staff, I still have to remind some of these kiddos, you know, one of my students who, you know, I've had for years, you know, even to this day, she's older, you know, she's like a young adult now, and she'll be cycling through some, you know, kind of mental health crisis. And I have to find the right time to say it. But, you know, I'll be like, hey, is it that time of month? You know, just wanted to remind you that's always typically a really, really hard time. And then she'd be like, oh, yeah. Oh, that's why. Yep. But for her, I have to remind her every month, right? My daughter, same way. Oh my God, she would get crazy. Like that time of the month, you know, it was like duck and cover. And I didn't have that. I just had cramps. I didn't have mood changes or swings or anything like that. So I knew that some girls did, but I had never seen it at this level. It was like almost psychosis, you know, and I knew that girls had it worse. So, but we had kids in school who they couldn't verbalize. And so we would kind of have to keep track of their cycles because that way we could anticipate the days where they were going to be just really off the hook. So what we see is behavior increase when it's the cycle time. Yeah. You know, right before the cycle, during the cycle, and then it calms down. And so, if you're not aware that these physiological changes, these biological, if they're sick, we'll see a behavior. So you start having to remember, like back when they were toddlers, that if they started acting crazy or cranky or screaming or crying a lot or being a lot more difficult than normal, you start trying to figure out what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Not they're just trying to be a bad kid.
Right.
But what's wrong? Why do you not feel good, buddy? We'll do that with toddlers. We forget to do it with our neurodivergent teens. Because part of us goes teenager and part of us forgets that they have this additional complication
right.
of not being able to identify what's going on.
And don't really haven't reached a point in their lives where they can effectively communicate what's going on with them. So,
and they may never, they may get better at it if they've got a lot of, help around them identifying and helping them, but, they have crazy hormone surges too. No, that is universal.
But again, during that time you were talking about, as a society, we bombarded everyone with social cues. We talked about stuff. In school they talked about your cycle and stuff like that. I learned more stuff about it as a boy. Mm-hmm. We don't anymore. So it's like,
oh no, they do, but they they do it when they're young in elementary school, and our kids are not processing it the same way. You know what I mean? You can't tell them. It's very difficult for them to imagine something that they can't see or experience right now. Imagination at that level. It's interesting to say too, because we have kids who are so much on the spectrum that they have literally created their own little world that they exist in, and they have created their own ecosystem, and they're very independently happy in their own little world. They have their own world that they've created. They're very happy there. And so it's very hard for us to imagine that they don't have imagination, right? We're like, no, he has a whole world. He's got a vivid imagination. Their imagination is not the same as ours. I say ours, but here I am crazy over here. Imagination for neurodivergent kids presents very different than it does for neurotypical kids. And even among the neurodivergent kids, it's very different what they may struggle with in terms of their imagination. People my entire life have argued with me over whether or not I am artistic. And I don't know why it matters so much to people when I say, no, I literally have zero art skills. And when I say art skills, I mean drawing, painting, whatever those are called, those types of artistic skills, right? Abilities.
Okay, I need you to back up a second. What those are called? What is that?
Words are hard today.
What is
whatever
that?
These kind of arts are. When you're painting and drawing and doing things with your hands.
Doing things with your hands. Okay, because you went like this, and I'm like clapping.
Hand type art, like clay, or if you have to use your hands for it. No, and people are like, no, it's just you needed to learn, or oh no, everybody can. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know why people need to argue with me about it. What does it matter to you? I'm not saying I wish I could. I'm just saying, I don't have that ability.
Why do you think that?
Well, see, another thing. Why do you think you're not good at it?
No, why? Do you think,
know I'm not good at it. Why do I think that?
Yeah,
because my aunt, who was an art major and an art teacher, and who had two very artistic boys that I was raised with, we were raised like siblings. We all had all the same exposure to every art possible known to man. I mean, art was more important in our family than anything, because it creates all these other wonderful skills in your brain, whatever. They put me in classes. They exhausted themselves trying to find the way to get it out of me. And I tried. And stick people. I mean, like a circle. Like, now I think now knowing what I struggle with, I'm like, I probably have the worst fine motor skills. So that's probably the problem, because it's a very typical issue to have terrible fine motor skills. Yes. Like Bubba and Jack both have dysgraphia, which is, you know, fine motor skills, trying to hold onto a pencil, trying to write, draw, color, whatever. And, you know, I'm like, that connects because they don't do art like that either, right? They don't drawing, coloring, all that. That was horribly torturous for them in school. It was not, you know, time to look forward to when it was going to be coloring time. And Jack was especially impacted because he didn't even want to color. You know, he didn't want to put colors on things. We were so excited when we finally saw him. You know, he would just do like black, white scribble. He didn't want nothing to do with it. And so when we saw him like actually color a few different colors sometimes, that was crazy. But, and I'm not as impacted as they are because I could color. You know, I tried to draw, but they put a lot of time and money into me trying to get good at it, which is probably like today's version of OT. It was just like, you know, we're just going to keep making her do it. Yeah. Yeah. We're just going to keep making her do it. I'm not even kidding. Like, I dreaded it so bad. Now, put me in a music class. I can play multiple instruments. I can listen to music. I can, you know, match tune. Musically, that's very creative, very artistic. I know that's art. Yes. But I'm talking about drawing art.
Well, I will say that the difference between someone who's good and someone who isn't basically is, do you have the ability to edit? Because it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Whatever you write, whatever you draw, whatever, can you edit it to where you say, I'm happy?
I couldn't. Yeah. And I could not. It just got messier and worse. and I didn't see that as, oh, it's just creative, you know, like I'm Picasso or something, you know, or I didn't, you know, envision. But also I had a really hard time with imagination when it came to that. Now I could play house. I could play grocery store. I could play cops and robbers. But think about the things that I'm telling you I could play. These are all real life scenarios that I was reenacting as a kid and pretending that we were those people or those scenarios or whatever, right?
You're saying you couldn't create it yourself.
I couldn't create something I hadn't seen, right? So even today, when we design a house or when we decorate our house or whatever, everybody's like, oh, that's so pretty or whatever. I'm like, there's no vision. There's no vision except me going through Pottery Barn and going into the furniture store. And if I see a certain thing, a certain way, I go, oh, I like that. I know I like that. And I know I like that. And I know those are going to look good together. But if I have to sit at home and go, what do I want my bedroom to look like? It's just a big blank. Yeah, I mean, literally, there's nothing that comes into my, it's not like, oh, bad ideas come into my brain or ideas that don't mesh or whatever. Like nothing comes into my brain. Like nothing. There's no activity, no brain activity. So I can't imagine something I haven't seen. And I can't envision in my room if, you know, people say like, what if we moved this over here and then this over here and then we shifted it all like this? And I'm like, can you do that for me? And then I can tell you if I like it. Yeah, that's right. Which is really inconvenient, you know.
I know because I've experienced it. But I was just saying, when you say I'm listening to you, and I'm like, oh, as I've seen, when we got down to the, painting or powder coating of the e-bike and the struggle to come up with a color.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he had to keep looking at other ones. He had to, and you'll see Jack copy other things because he can only tell you what he likes that he's already seen. And now I'm pretty open to like, somebody's like, no, I think this is going to look good like this and this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, let's try it. But not everybody like me is. So like for Jack or Savvy, if they haven't seen it, then they can't envision it. And so it's not something I want to try. And so when you've got a teenager who has all the other things going on, and then you also have this roadblock of like, I haven't seen what that looks like in real life. So I can't imagine it. So in my mind, it doesn't exist. You can't give them scenarios. You can't give them, so, hey, buddy, if this happens, then this will happen, then this will happen.
Right. That doesn't work.
You may as well just say, so when you go to China next month, you are not going to know how to speak the language, and you're going to have food there that you can't eat. And I'd be like, why are you telling me this? I'm not even going to China next month. Right? Yeah. So that is, to them, as useful of a conversation as trying to tell them what's going to happen.
No,
if
I've experienced it when, I'm by the book guy. When I say, hey, here's the law, here's the rule, and then you get the why for the rule. Why is the rule there? And you get down to it, you go, because it is. They don't. Yeah,
because like sometimes we don't have all the answers, man. I'm sorry. Because the community decided that was the rule, and I'm exhausted from this conversation right now. And I've tried to give you all the answers, but it's still not good enough for you. And to be fair, like every kid who's like this doesn't have this same reaction. So in Jack, it looks like I haven't seen that happen. I haven't experienced that. So in my mind, it's not going to. It's not a thing. It's a whatever. It's not a risk. It's not something I'm afraid of. There's no way to get him to be worried or aware or conscious of a risk or a problem based on something he hasn't seen happen. And it can be social experiences. It can be like, if you talk to your friend like this, then they're not going to want to be your friend anymore. And until a friend doesn't want to be his friend anymore, and you're able to show him, because you have to show him that it was because of what he said. Because he won't believe that if you don't show him why it was.
Which is, and that he struggled with that. He struggled with how he communicated with everyone else. In his peer group, because as someone I quit speaking a different language. They would say this and he would say that, and in his mind that would be okay, and they would be
they'd be offended or they'd be upset or whatever, and then you have a problem, because you have a conflict of his understanding of the situation versus their understanding of the situation. And teenagers already don't really know how to communicate, period. They a lot of times don't know how to communicate with each other, for sure. And then on top of it, you've got a kid who seems to be just really offensive in the way he's communicating.
He's very blunt. It's black or white. There's no gray.
Yeah. And he doesn't realize that's a problem. And even when you try to explain to him that's a problem, until a friend actually says to him, I don't like how you talk to me right there, it's not a problem, because it's just our perception as far as he's concerned. Yeah. But then you have the opposite of that, because that same concept can present opposite. So like my daughter and myself, we would be told, if you do this, this will happen. And because we had never seen it, we were so terrified of that thing happening.
Okay, yeah.
That we didn't want nothing to do with that. And we thought like we would go the far other way, right? Like super anxious, super anxiety, fly under the radar kid who's never doing anything wrong because they're terrified of the what if, because I've never seen the what if. So the what if is so scary.
Right.
You know, so they're either the what if is it just doesn't exist, or the what if is so scary because I can't see it, I can't envision it.
No, yeah,
because I literally have gone through my adult life now experiencing some of the what ifs, right? And going, why was I so scared of that? That wasn't that awful. But it was the inability to understand something I hadn't seen yet. So, you know.
Well, it goes into when you're talking about neurodivergent kids, which is why follow through is so important. Because if you tell them something, that this will happen, if you do this, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And then they do that and you don't do what you said you were going to do. Mm-hmm. From here on out,
you never do what you say you're going to do.
You never do.
One time you missed it. One time. But it's also why community follow through is so important, because with these kids, if you can't say, hey, if you do that, the police will come and talk to you.
Come on.
And instead, what happens is the police do nothing.
Yeah.
And they see that. Now you are either at worst a liar, right? So you can get a real big reaction. They're like, you're a liar. Nothing you say is true. Or at best, this is going to happen to me. You're crazy. The police don't care.
We could probably speak for another 2 hours on just life experiences I've watched in my own career, watched what happened to a young person who no longer feared getting arrested.
Oh, yeah. It's so fast. I mean, my older boys, I watch that happen so fast because state of Washington, we don't have consequences for anything. So, you know, and I would love a perfect world where we have balance, right? But if I have to choose one, I would choose consequence over no consequence, because watching my older sons realize the sheer level of menace that they could be and have no consequence in the community meant that they came home emboldened and empowered.
Yeah.
And you lose all ability to control them because there is no consequence in the community when you lose control. And so when I see parents say things about, well, you just got to take all their stuff away and you got to do this, and I'm just laughing because I'm like, see, you've never lived this life. You've never clearly lived this life where you did all those things, and things that never occurred to you, because they never occurred to me either, because as if I didn't start there.
Yeah.
You know, as if I didn't start there. I took the things away. I didn't do the things, whatever. And guess what? These motherfuckers go out there and shoplift. Yeah. They figure out how to shoplift and end up with cash. So I didn't give them money. I didn't even know they had money. Then you got some lovely parents out there who will encourage their behavior and do it with them and their own kids.
Yeah.
So then you get that. So, I took away the bikes and the toys and all the phone and the everything, right? And then weirdly, we had some iPod that some parent or somebody had given him so he still could communicate with them. And then, you know, he was hiding. And then weirdly, we still made it to places not on foot because that parent would pick them up and take them somewhere. And I mean, it was just mind blowing because I was like, never in our generation would these things have happened. So if my mom said, you better not do that, or this is going to happen, and then I went out there and tried to do that, there was no parent who was going to be like, yeah, come over here. You're safe over here. I'm so sorry. Your mom's so hard on you. There was no parent like that. And also the police were coming for me.
Yeah.
I stole a pack of bubble gum when I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. Standing in line, my mom never would let me have bubble gum because she hated the smell of bubble gum and it was sugar on my teeth. And we're standing in line at the grocery store and I took a pack. I don't remember taking the pack. I don't remember anything except for the fact that somewhere between checking out and getting to the car, I think I told her. She marched my ass back in there. They didn't go, oh, thank you so much, honey, for being honest. They scared the bejesus out of me. The manager came up and she laid into me. The checker had already laid into me. I thought the police were coming for me. I'm like 5. I thought all the things were happening over a pack of bubble yum. Okay? Because it's a community situation, right?
Yeah.
This mama just came back in with her little girl who took this thing. We're all going to lay into this little kid so that this little kid never in the rest of her life tries to do anything like this again, right? And it worked.
I would say that that was my experience as well.
But now, if my kid did that, I would walk back in and be like, hey, my kid took this pack of gum. And they'd be like, oh, this is probably just an accident. Thanks for bringing it back, honey. Okay, bye.
They may even go, oh, he can keep it. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There would be no, nothing.
I tell people all the time that this has been education. I do feel like I've become not just a better parent, but a better person in general as I'm starting to understand people more and realizing that not everyone thinks the same way I do. I say this all the time. People go, man, you have so much patience. And I go, well, not really.
Talk to my older daughters. I don't think that they would agree.
They would tell you that I have patience. What I have is an understanding that you may not process information the same way I process information. And once I know that, I don't get offended that you don't get it as quick as I do. Because why would I be mad about something you have no control over?
Right.
So it's easier for me to be like, oh, yeah, that's just how it is. And they go, wait, doesn't that anger you? I say, well, I don't like it, but they can't help it.
Right.
That would be like if someone had a blemish, a mark on their face that I didn't like. I can't wake up every morning like, oh, you get that blemish in your face again.
You get that fixed.
Did you get that fixed yet? You go, oh, well, they can't help it. It's what it is. It's the same thing with the disability. If, it's inconvenient that your child has spina bifida. Oh, it sure is, but they can't control it. Why would I be angry about it? So when I find out.
To be fair, though, it is an emotional roller coaster.
It is. No.
If the disability, I mean, there's different emotions for every disability, right? But I will say one of the biggest emotions that we deal with behavior disabilities is our own behavioral response. Because it's so emotionally draining every day. Every disability has its own drain, whatever it is, and I don't know what those are on the disabilities that I don't manage every day in my own home. I can only imagine, because they all have their own, issues. But behavior disability management, it like physically can hurt other people. It verbally can damage relationships. I made a friend with a mom of another kiddo, and this has happened to me my whole life. Try to make friends, mom friends.
Yeah.
But then, and I can like absolutely adore this person. And we're having the best friendship. And then my kid starts alienating their kid. And then we can't be friends anymore. And it sucks because, it's really hard not to get angry or resentful or hurt or whatever because, I want friends.
Yeah. No.
I had a friend, and I have to choose my kid.
Yeah.
I have to be there for my kid. But it's very, very, very rare that you find a friend who can understand what you're going through with your kid's behavior problem that is hurting their child.
Yeah.
And they still can be friends with you. And sometimes, my kids have been like it's a betrayal to them.
Yeah.
If I'm friends with the mom still,
yeah.
And no matter how I try to explain it, they feel betrayed. And so I have to put aside my need for that friendship and then try to explain to my friend who might be doing just fine with it. Like, hey, it's fine. I don't, it's great. And I'm like, yeah, I just can't really hang out with you because my kid, I don't know. No. And so I've learned to not make friends with the other kids' moms. And sometimes I forget that, because they're always trying to make friends with me. And I forget why I'm like that. And I just think sometimes like, I just don't have friends. I'm not a friend person. I don't make friends. And so I know that the perception becomes like, oh, I guess she doesn't want to be friends. Or, they kind of they're like, oh, I guess she doesn't want friends or what. No, I want friends. I wanted friends, but I abandoned that so long ago.
Yeah.
When I had a bunch of friends and then I lost all of them, over having to choose my child.
Yeah.
And it was, 10, 12 years, 15 years of friendships, a whole community. I had a whole ecosystem that I had to choose my child over. And then I tried after that a little bit here, a little bit there, but my body remembers. And so my body will bail on really becoming close because I'm like, we can't be friends if our kids are friends because I can't.
Oh, little ones are fickle. They'll stop being friends and stop being friends.
But it's not like normal.
And then a month later, be the best buddies again. And it's a roller coaster.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to be able to say to you without us having a personal relationship, I have to be able to say, yeah, I'm really sorry. He's got, these behavior disabilities and I'm really sorry that he hurt your son's feelings and he probably shouldn't be around your son because he's just going to be meaner. I have to be able to say that and us not be friends because if we're friends, then we might get into our own argument about that.
Yeah.
If I'm not your friend and I just say that, you're going to go, whatever, and walk off. Great. I'm going to carry on and so are you. But if our, it's just almost impossible, and it sucks too, because a lot of the friends that you would make would be with other parents of neurodivergent kids. So, we have things in common. We have places where we can identify, but it just goes to the whole isolation. And, you're going through teenage with these kids and, you're watching other people have typical experiences, and even like what you said, like kids are fickle and, this month they're friends, next month they're not. Well, we all expect that as parents, at a certain level when we first make friends with other, kids' parents. there's a certain level of that we all are used to, and we learn how to navigate. Like, oh, you're not friends today. That's fine. It's kind of like you guys are kind of like cousins. So whatever. With our kids, it's a different level. So they come into that feeling like it's just that. And I'm like, no, we're done. I know we're done. You know, and teenage, we're talking about my kid might encourage your kid into something legally dangerous or physically dangerous. And I have enough on my plate trying to keep him out of legal and physical danger. I can't take responsibility for your kid too. That level of guilt, that level of responsibility that I would feel is overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, so, and our teenager doesn't understand that either.
No.
Right? Because like, why can't I just have my friend come with me on this spend over? That's what kids do, right? And you want them to have that social experience. But if they're at your house and then 4 of them, you know, sneak out in the middle of the night, everyone's going to blame you. Yeah. And now it's not just my kid snuck out from my house, your kid snuck out from your house, and your kid snuck out from your house, and then they all met up together. It's these 4 kids snuck out of your house.
Yeah.
And it's your kid's fault, and it's your fault, and
I have to explain to my little one all the time. He goes, when he wants to know why, because it's a big thing with him, is why. And I go, because I'm responsible. They didn't say they could sleep over because you were here. Yeah. They said they were okay with him sleeping over because I'm here. Yeah. They believe I'm the adult and I'm going to keep him safe.
Right.
So if you go do these things, then these things aren't safe. And if something happens, I'm the one. Mm-hmm. They're not going to knock on your door. We had a conversation on a recent vacation. We were driving and there's a bicyclist didn't like how we were driving. Yeah. So said something. Hey, that ain't very nice. Mm-hmm. And he yelled, oh, get your old butt over here. And I had to stop him and we're, hey, man.
That's right. Because we were in Hawaii and he was riding in the back of the truck. Yeah. And we weren't doing anything. We were just behind the bicyclist, but he was a little inebriated or something. And he didn't like that we were following behind him. And then as we were passing him, that's when Jack started yelling.
Yeah. So
Get your drunk old ass off the road. And I'm like,
hey, man, if he decides he want to fight, you're not getting out of the car.
He's not going to fight you. He's going to fight me.
I'm the one that's going to get in this fight. Yeah. So I need you not to pick a fight for me.
Oh, or at the beach when old dude, not old, just, middle-aged dude is just, sitting in his car after work, enjoying a cocktail
in his car.
Okay, we don't need to talk about it. He wasn't driving. He was just chilling.
Yeah, just chilling in his car.
He's just chilling in his car, looking at the beach, looking at the mountains after work, his everyday routine, wind down. And he would happen to be parked next to us. And then Jack and I come back up in a beach day and we're putting our stuff in the thing. I look at the guy, like, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Like, he was not a creeper. I know what they look like, but Jack, all of a sudden, I'm putting stuff in, and then next thing I go, hey, stop looking at my mom like that. But he's not looking at your mom like anything. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And he's like, dude, I promise you, I'm not looking at your mom like that. I'm not looking at your mom like that. I was looking at the car, and I was thinking that's a pretty cool Jeep truck thing. And I'm like, I'm sorry. He's 12. Yeah. I don't know. And the guy took it really well, but I was like, dude. Yeah. And he's just like, he was staring at you. Okay. All right.
I'm not too mad about that part, but anyway. I'm just going to, that's part of the training. But let me back up a little bit. I want to say that I'm a I'm more patient. I'm still a work in progress.
Yeah.
So if I came off like, oh, I'm the most patient person in the world, and no, I have my moments. I try to breathe and think about what I'm going to say before I say it. However, I am very guilty of seeing something happen that I don't like and may not have a full understanding of why he did what he did and respond to that immediately. That's something that's really important when you're dealing with a kid who's neurodivergent, is if you have the ability to pause, breathe, and then try to find out why they did what they did as before you comment on what they did, it's better in the long run, in my experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm still learning that. I still have my moments where I immediately respond, and then I find out why, and I feel guilty because it wasn't, my reaction wasn't necessarily required. Like I didn't have to get that vocal, or I didn't have to get, it didn't have to go there if I had given him an opportunity to explain himself. Because it may have been something he shouldn't have done, but I have an understanding of why he did it. He may have a misunderstanding as to what the procedure was.
Well, there's an assumption that they're just trying to get away with it every single time, instead of the assumption being, okay, what am I not understanding about why you did this? Can you please help me understand why this sounded like a good idea to you?
Yeah.
Help me understand that so that then we can talk about where the misunderstanding is and why this is a problem.
Absolutely.
And if you come at it like that, which is how we really should come to every conversation we have in life with anyone.
With anyone.
We should really come to any conversation, any problem, and be like, okay, help me understand how we got here from your perspective. And then they should, want to hear from your perspective what you saw, right? Or what you felt. And then when you can put that out there, then, the road to a solution, becomes more clear.
Yes.
But it's really hard with these behavior kids because that is not the assumption that people make. The initial assumption is you're just trying to be bad. You're just trying to get away with something. You're just trying to be a menace. You're just trying to be lawless. You're just trying to be a problem.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the sayings we have in school with kids like this is all behavior is communication. All behavior is communication. If they have a behavior, they are communicating something, good and bad. A hug is a behavior.
Yeah.
They're communicating something. Jumping up and down is a behavior. What are they communicating? And if you think back to our original, like how we come up, babies communicate long before they have words.
Yep.
How do they communicate? Through behavior, right? They cry first because when that's all they can do. They flail their arms and their legs when that's all they can do. Then they get more ability to have more behaviors, right? They might hit each other. They might bite. They might kick. They might scratch, scream. They get more behaviors the more that they, have capabilities to do other things. And that's how they communicate. So really what we're dealing with when we see behaviors is a communication need that, they have some need that's not being met. And what we really should be doing, even through teenager, even through young adult, is trying to figure out, what are you trying to communicate to me? What need is not being met? And most of the time with these teenagers, the need that's not being met is autonomy.
Yeah.
It's feeling in control of myself. It's feeling in control of my environment. It's feeling in control of the world around me. I feel very out of control. I'm trying to gain control. I'm trying to gain some sense of not being out of control. And having autonomy for a PDA kid is life. Yeah. I mean, I can't even explain to people, this is not, oh, you have control issues. this is beyond. This is life or death. Their brain fires in such a way that I am under immediate threat if my autonomy is threatened, and I will go into fight or flight. So I will fight for my autonomy, because if I don't have autonomy, it's like death. And you can't reason them out of that. This is a neurological response. This is anxiety underwriting. If you can get the anxiety under control, you can bring down the need for autonomy. But the anxiety is the issue. And so when you trigger the anxiety, then you have gone out of our thinking brain and we are into our dinosaur brain, and we are into, I'm going to jump out of a vehicle. I'm going to jump out of a window. I'm going to do whatever I need to do right now to gain back my autonomy. I'm not actually thinking about how I'll die on the other side of that window or the other side of jumping out of that car, because my brain can't think that far. Right now, I'm running for my life, or I'm jumping for my life, or I'm whatever, because I need to get that autonomy back. It's like a caged animal. Would you try to reason with a lion? No.
Not unless I spoke lion.
Yeah.
And last time I checked, I don't.
Yeah. So you're going to try to bring down the threat around the lion to neutralize them. Right. And, we know this out in the wild, right? We know this in a zoo, for example, right? We do not want to put that animal down. As humans, we don't want to do that. We don't want to pull out a gun and put that animal down. We want the threat to be neutralized. We want them to calm and go away or settle down, right? Even with a dog in our house, we don't want to hurt the dog that all of a sudden got triggered and vicious. But every time a dog has done that, it's from some anxiety response. The dog feels threatened. Their life feels threatened for some reason, rational or not.
Yeah.
And we don't want to put them down. So that shouldn't be our first response with humans either. But we are far faster to pull a gun on each other or pull a knife or threaten each other physically like that. And we'll do it with, our kids, hit them, put our hands on them, whatever, to try to neutralize the threat. And really the way to neutralize it is give them their autonomy back. Just give it back to them and go back to the drawing board and try to figure it out, especially with teenagers. And so I hate seeing these posts all the time because I feel so bad for the parents. So I'm in some PDA groups, and I see, them going, so what am I supposed to do? Like, they want to do this, they want to do this, they want to do this. And like, how am I supposed to say okay to that? And I'm like, you just say okay. Okay. Now, I say to Jack, and you do too, be like, okay, man, so initially we'll say, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. Also, I know when I first say that, I think to myself, whoops, I took a left. I should have taken a right. Because I know that coming out the gate with no is probably not the right way to go. Mm-hmm. But I'm normal. I'm a regular person sometimes.
Your instinct is
my first instinct is like, no, I'm the parent, you're the kid. No, the answer is no, it's not happening. And I don't always have the bandwidth to explain every single time. You have way more bandwidth to explain everything all the time than I have. So,
him or you?
You have more bandwidth to be able to, explain every time why and how and what the thing.
Well, two things. One, you beat it into me. That's what I'm supposed to do. And two, I like to talk. So that's my wheelhouse.
I think our audience would think I'm the one that likes to talk. But it's different. Yeah, like talking like that is not where I talk. And so I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to sit here and argue with you. Just don't do it. And I'm not into negotiating either. I'm not a master negotiator. I mean, if it comes like buying a car to, talking about why the world is the way the world is, I'm not into those conversations. You are. You know, you think it's super fun to go back and forth and negotiate on the price of a car. And I'm just like, my anxiety is going through the roof. I'm like, no, this is how much I want it for. Can you do that? No, you can do this. Okay, reasonable. Sounds good. Let's go. That's about my tolerance. You know, and you're like, no. Why don't we keep going? And I'm like, for what? $5? Yeah. No. But with these kids, it's usually like, what I do is I try to ideally go in and go, you know, like, so Jack, this is what I'm going to tell you. That's probably not a good idea because it's supposed to rain in about a half an hour. And he'll start interrupting me. And I'm like, can I let me just say what I need to say. And then you can say what you need to say. Is that fair? He's like, yeah. Okay. So it's supposed to rain in about a half hour. So that's one thing I'm concerned about. Another thing I'm concerned about is whatever it is. And another thing I'm concerned about is whatever I'm concerned about. And I think those are my thoughts. And then I go, so what do you think? And then he'll say, well, this is why that's not a problem. This is why that's not a problem. This is why that's not a problem. So he's got an answer for everything. So, you know, everything I will have laid out is not a problem. And then I go, okay, Jack. He hates that. And so I wish more parents would know that, because the minute you give them a yes, because they are oppositional like this, because they are PDA, now I've said it's okay.
He wants to fight.
And now he's like, well, I mean, maybe I don't want to do it. Oh, no, man. I mean, it's totally fine. You know, go ahead. Do what you need to do. And he will walk away, and I know when I've got him, because he'll be like, okay. And then he walks away, and the next thing I know, he's still here. And I don't say anything. I'm like, because you know what? I'm not going to be like trying to jinx it, right? So if I'm going to say anything, what I should say is, no, really, man, it's fine. Go ahead, go out. What you don't want to do is go, so you decided not to go out, huh? Yeah,
because then you just flipped it and boom.
Now it's like, no, I'm still going. Oh, okay. Yeah. And believe I made that mistake, but I see these parents in these forums, and I'm like, literally flip the script. Flip it. Whatever it is that you want them to do, tell them you don't want them to do it. They will do the thing you want them to do. You just have to try to figure out how to live in opposite world all the time.
No, I've come in and I've like, I mean, here's the reasons why it's not going to work. And then he'll give me his list.
Yeah, you're never going to get agreement.
All right. And then it goes, and then he gets to a point where he goes, and I go, oh, I thought you were going to do that. And he goes, nah, that seemed too dangerous. Or, nah, you know, I didn't think that was a good idea. And okay. And
yeah. And really be careful in that moment, because that's where they get us sometimes, you know, because we just won. But
no victory laps. No
do not take a victory lap.
Just go, okay, well, let me know.
Let me know if you want to.
Like, I always say that, hey, let me know if you change your mind.
Yeah.
And
like we did that with so we got these pink cow outfits. We got these pink cow sweats for the whole family. Yeah, because we're weirdos.
That nobody wore.
We did. We have evidence.
I was forced.
Everyone, still evidence. We all wore. Anyway, we got one for Jack. And he's like, I'm not wearing that because we all were. And because we wanted him to wear it. Right? And Tyler caught it fast. Mm-hmm. And he went, oh, yeah. No, Mom, we're not going to make... No. Jack doesn't have to wear it. It's fine. He doesn't have to wear it. And I'm thinking, oh, Tyler, why are you're way too happy that he doesn't want to wear it. I'm thinking Tyler's trying to like, yeah, I didn't want him to wear it anyway. It took me a second to catch on that, like, no, he knew what Jack was doing, and he knew the fastest way to get him to put it on was to be like, no, Jack doesn't want to wear it. It's fine. He doesn't want to wear it. Because I'd been sitting over there, come on, man. Come on, just for the picture. And it's just getting worse, you know? He's just like, no, I don't want to. No, I don't want to. I'm like, all right, man, never mind. Are you sure? and Tyler's like, no, Mom, we don't want, he doesn't need to. It's fine. He doesn't need to. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah. I go, yeah, it's fine, Jack. It's fine. You know what? You don't want to. It's fine. And literally like 3 seconds later, he's like, I mean, I'll wear the sweatshirt.
I wear the top. I won't.
I'm not going to wear the bottom. And I was just like, no, really, man, it's fine. You don't have to. You know, so it's like, I wish I would remember all the time to live in opposite world, because if I would just live in opposite world, I'd probably get so much more compliance.
You would, but then you'd be something wrong would be something wrong with you. So
yeah.
Listen, I think that it's very complex. I think that I want to say to everybody who's listening that these are our experiences. We're in no shape, way, or form trying to tell you need to do it this way or that way or whatever. We're telling you what works for us, what doesn't work for us. Please feel free to, you can tell me I'm wrong. I'm new. I'm brand new. So I'm not putting the flag in saying on any mountain saying this is how it has to be.
Yeah.
So please understand that.
Seriously, like engage with us on the, social, like tell us what works for you.
What works for you?
What doesn't work?
What doesn't work?
You know?
If I'm full
tell
of
us that we're crazy.
Like it, tell us we're crazy. Go for it.
Great.
I also add that as I'm learning more and I'm looking into history of this country, for those people who think that we having this increase of diagnoses.
Well, we have an increase in diagnoses because we know what to call it.
We know what to call it. Exactly. But for those people who think that, well, we're having this increase in diagnoses because of all of the chemicals that are in our food now and how, our food is banned in other countries and that's what we're doing this to ourselves. I'm not saying that that's not a truth to that. I would just harken you back to the fact that in this country, that same 40, 50 years ago, we had extremely large institutions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had a kid who was nonverbal, if you had a kid who was ADHD or who was hyperactive, is what they used to call them back then, anything that they viewed that was not typical or normal, they put you in a hospital.
Yeah.
Lockdown facility. Yeah. And those hospitals were full.
Yeah.
They were full.
The only difference is now they're in the community, they're in our homes, they're with their families, and we will do an episode on institutionalization versus community care. But remember there's names for things now, and it's more visible, but that doesn't mean that it hasn't existed.
We talk about it more now. But in the past, nobody talked about that kid that you knew he was bad in school, but then suddenly you didn't see him anymore. Mm-hmm. That's because they institutionalized him. We didn't talk about it. It was the family secret. The stuff that we're dealing with.
It's just like saying there's more teenage pregnancy or anything like that. Like, no, the girl went away and then the child was raised as moms or aunties or something.
We did those things. We did
crazy stuff like that.
We did crazy stuff like that. We're just talking about it more now.
Yeah.
But this is stuff that has existed as long as this country has, believe me.
Yeah. Yep.
With that being said, thank you for joining us. Please reach out.
Comment, like, and share.
Comment, like, and share. We want to hear from you. Reach out to us on social.